Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
What if we made this Rock the protagonist?
No, this has to end.
I knew these isekais were desperate, but this is just going too far. And with Japanese anime companies moving into the $27 billion business because of this, thanks Demon Slayer for keeping our country's entire economy afloat. We couldn't have done this without you. These companies would have been working out of a cardboard box at this point, if not for this. But because of this seemingly normal anime becoming a global success, companies are feeling the need to keep up with the demand. And by that I mean, what you'd normally do when your girlfriend's parents come to visit and go overboard. Like back in the day, we would only have 30 new animes for the entire year. But now, we have 30 animes in the 3-month period. And I'm up to my ass in the amount of anime I still need to watch by the end of the year. Do you really think I have enough time to watch this? The Faraway Paladin? A show that teaches you how to live life to the fullest. Like, did any one of you watch this when this came out? Or have you already forgotten about this shit? Another problem is these shows that are being forcefully pushed out are great. With so much great anime coming and going, it's hard to really form a real attachment and grow a fan base that can last. But I can say there has been one anime my friends are having to convince me is different. A show that's gonna stand the test of time, Reincarnated as a Sword. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. This shit. You're telling me this is gonna last the next 5 years? The show about a guy turning into an inanimate object who's not even the main guy. You know, this is the problem with the genre. You're telling me all these companies here on the screen spent around a combined total of $4,200,000 when they can't even make season 3 of Magi or season 5 of DxD. You know what? I must be the problem. Why are we letting these questionable job title characters become the protagonists of the newest pop cultural genre? What was once the subgenre is now on its own category. There's isekais about the guy who's a wrestler, the guy who has a smartphone with him, a guy who owns a damn near bed and breakfast, the assassin, the programmer, all the same characters look like Kirito. A shitty reincarnated story about an apple isekai. The fact that some of you don't know if I'm joking about that last one is the problem I'm talking about. And don't even get me started about the vending machine anime that's coming out soon. It's starting to become more about your pre-existing job title and not the actual journey in the anime. But I can say after watching this anime, I was wrong. This anime made me ask questions like, what happens if you give the powerless power? Should you really give mercy to someone who wouldn't give you the same kindness? And what does it mean to be someone's guardian? So the plot goes like this. A 30-year-old man, salary worker, is walking home from work when, stop if you heard this before, is hit by Truck-kun, the true antagonist of all your Walmart isekais. And now he's reincarnated with limited memories and he's a sword, appearing as a legendary Excalibur, stuck in stone, only able to be wielded by the next legendary king. But instead of that story, he levitates around, acting like a cursed sword, and quickly becomes addicted to carving up goblin flesh and breaking their crystals, going on a crazy one man or one sword killer montage of eliminating all the strongest creatures in the Demon Wolf's garden, earning dimensional magic, resistance and nullification skills, other magical elements, and self-enhancements. But even with all this power, the sword feels like there's something missing, like there's someone missing. Yes, the sword is actively seeking out a master or owner. He's no longer a person that needs food, sleep, or air. He wants to go on a journey with someone. Meanwhile, the real main character, Fran, is being beaten around by her slave masters, having a deep resentment for being mocked about being a part of the Black Cat tribe that's now nearly extinct. There have been beastkin characters in fantasy before, but they've always been reserved to being one of the girls in the main guy's harem, and that's it. The closest they've ever come to being a main character is Raphtalia. So no, I don't like this show because it's an isekai. I love it because it's a fan fiction about what happens if you made Raphtalia the main character. What got me invested into Shield Hero was the idea of this perfectly innocent man being framed for a crime he didn't commit, losing any support, and told he had to still fight in a war for people who just want to see him dead, with his only form of backup coming from a slave girl, who isn't treated like such, but a real companion. Despite his own misfortunes, he makes sure to take care of her. Raphtalia is able to overcome her own deep-rooted trauma by fighting, being one of the last from her village still alive, hoping to restore her village under the Shield Hero's banner. Fran is from the Black Cat tribe. 100 years ago, the leaders of the tribe went against the gods, and because of that, they became cursed, unable to evolve, and were then hunted down to the point of extinction. Her parents wanted to change her fate, and became hired warriors traveling the world as adventurers, hoping to evolve. But unfortunately, they were killed while they were working, with Fran seeing all this as a child, sold into slavery, repeatedly told that she wouldn't evolve and become something more. Day after day, she would repeat the same similar phrases like, I want power, I will become stronger. Sort of how like Eren Yeager kept saying he was to kill all the Titans. You know, something similar. So when these two collide, it makes a wonderful pairing. Fran wants to evolve for herself, parents, and wants to be able to bring hope to the remaining few Black Cats. With the young child eternally grateful to the sword, or her guardian, she thanks teacher for lending her power, and the sword is happy to finally have a purpose, or something to protect, fighting monsters and training with her newfound power. Doesn't this sound awfully familiar? The show takes enemies and tropes from popular isekais. The way Teacher levels up is like how they do it in Slime or So I'm a Spider. The various monsters visually look very similar to the other shows, with the spiders looking from So I'm a Spider, the goblins in the show have intelligence like in Goblin Slayer, and used in various ways. This anime takes inspirations from plenty of sources. Next, let's talk about the idea of them having less supporting characters. For one, it's cheaper to make an anime that way, but it's also better because you're not adding in too many different voices to take away from the main story, or the main characters, which should be Fran and Teacher, with this actually going to the aspect of the character where, for the entire story, they only trust each other, with Fran not telling anyone Teacher's secret. Like when the goddess of children, Amanda, tries to waltz her way into Fran's life, the girl doesn't accept her. It takes her 6 episodes to then decide, hey, I can trust this person, and tell Teacher's secret to her. Now let's talk about the Spider Girl. The show adds in a final antagonist trope in the final episodes. You know the final boss in fantasy animes where they like to focus the last 2 episodes on acting as if everything was leading up to this moment or this fight. These episodes always tend to feel rushed and poorly done. They're poorly done because they expect us to have an attachment to this boss, or just find them super evil. But if Thanos has taught us anything, people want more than a commercial villain, or a villain with no purpose. But this character is different, because the show doesn't try and act like this is the main villain, who's given a big monologue speech where they say they're evil for the sake of being evil. No, but she's nothing more than another dungeon monster on the bump of the road. The last episode felt more like the congratulations scene from the end of Evangelia, revealing to the audience that all along Amanda, who's been begging Fran to call her mommy, is in fact her extended grandmother, who's raised Fran's parents, with her being slightly the reason they're dead now, and how Fran became a slave, because she didn't teach them how to fight when they were young, even though they were begging for her to teach her. So when they became older and they got married, they still decided to be adventurers and learn on the way, as well as the end of the anime, where we cut to Fran meeting her next teacher, Jean Duvix. Knowing how this is how they ended the anime makes me more intrigued into what is left that they could do. Learning that this is how they ended the anime gets me really interested into seeing season 2, because Fran isn't the typical OP one-hit cutesy anime girl. Fran has 3 different sides to her: the emotionless mute girl who doesn't accept people easily, the cutesy moe girl that can sell anime merchandise, and the child soldier sociopath who is out for revenge and restoring her people. Fran doesn't play around. Like, how she just cut this man's ankles off once he made a threat about putting her back into slavery, or slowly killing an enemy beastkin that enslaved members of her race just to make him suffer, and Teacher is begging for her to stop, and she does it. So yeah, Teacher, good luck trying to deal with her when the time skip hits, eventually. Teacher acts as the overprotective parent who gets mad at Gallius when too much of her belly button is exposed, wanting to protect her from the world, but over time she develops her own path and chooses to fight when she wants to, not really rebelling, but still wanting to prove herself. Fran is going to be choosing her own morals, slash her willing to finish off a kill herself and put herself into danger. At times she's truly using him as a weapon, not asking for his recommendation. Also, another aspect of the show is knights and guilds don't really matter, especially if people can be casually sold into slavery by traders and no one can just stop them. Case in point, the Black Cat race, for example. You are really out here on your own like it's the Wild Wild West. Even the people that really want to help can't help if they're not in the certain region that you're in. It's kind of like that town mentality of you only hear about what happens around your town, but the moment you leave, you're on your own. Anything could happen to you at any point. Fran had to kill a giant bear monster that killed all of her slave companions, deal with jealous money-hungry adventurers who threaten to take her to a slave trader if she loses, save weaker adventurers, become a goblin slayer and kill 100+ goblins, push to her limits and kill different bosses, a greater demon, kill one of her clan's mortal enemies, and a spider bitch, all before the age of 13. But still, a lot of the power is borrowed, and she knows it. The show even plays with this idea, like how a demon she fights tries to steal her skills, only for it to fail since she technically doesn't have any skills of her own. She's not going to outwardly confess to her contemporaries that she doesn't deserve what she's been given, because she's still willing to put in hours and push herself to the limits to practice. But she knows her gains are amplified by having Teacher around, with her unable to use magic or skills without him, making their bond that much tighter, constantly reminding Teacher and anyone who listens to her how much she loves the sword, because she's indebted to his wisdom, power, and security that he gives her. The scene where the girl finally gets to lay her head in a bed for the first time says a lot. Something that was once normal, but was reminded how it's a luxury. A vast majority of the isekai power-ups don't feel earned, but rather the main character cheating. And you know I'm not making this up when the isekai titles themselves have the name cheat in the title, but this is the reason why I don't watch Boruto, is because the movie where he openly takes the easy way out and cheats his way to the finals makes me feel like Naruto having to disapprove all these isekais. Something the anime has at this moment is a proper power scaling that keeps the battle scenes more interesting. Amanda is stronger than her, and so is practically everyone in rank A, as well as bosses and other people. Without Teacher, most of the cast are stronger than center. A lot of these new anime titles are repetitive and wacky for the sake of shock value, but some turn these tropes on their heads and actually add a little to what is fairly a generic formula, making some of these shows worth your time.